Sean over here, good to have you back. I know I promised some of you that I will be shooting an instructional video on how to replace the Black Widow exhaust system, but two things went against me. One, my camera woman, which happened to be my wife, got COVID. She's home recovering. Two is I used the mount from a snap mount that goes right here, hang on around the neck and goes all the way to here on the chest, which is right here. This mount, and I use this to record my footage. Halfway throughout my project, I stopped. I was having a break, and I was like, let me check out the. Look at this spider right here. Okay, here we go. Come on, spider. All right. So I was like, let me check out this the footage, and this footage was not the best. So in the middle of the work, I was like, well, you know what, I have to continue. I can't just stop and wait for my wife to recover. So I promised myself I'm going to go ahead and write down step by step what I did, and as well. So basically, Black Widow provided an instruction sheet, okay, but it's just like in general. So what I did when I went through the instruction, I was like, okay, what's the easiest way to approach this and that, and then I came up with my own way. I improvised a little bit the instruction. I went through the hard part, and then I'm gonna let you know about the hardest part. Check this out. From now, I'm going to tell you the hardest part in this project is removing the exhaust servo motor. So the rest is easy. Even the headers is easy. So all what you need is plenty of time on your hand, water, and take some breaks, and then you should be okay. So step number one, I made the instruction made out of two major steps, A and B. A is the removal, and B is the installation. Okay, so for the removal, we're gonna go ahead and step number one, unscrew 3 bolts and remove the slip-on cover. Unscrew the slip-on bolt and nut, loosen up the slip-on clamp, and slide out the slip-on. So basically what I'm talking about is right here. This is the slip-on cover. It has 3 bolts. Unscrew them. You're gonna have to use T25 Torx bit, and then you will come over here, T40 Torx bit, and in the back half a nut. You need the wrench to hold the nut. You remove that, and then you will underneath this cover there is a clamp. It takes, I believe, 13 or 14 millimeter socket. You will unscrew it, and then you slide off the slip-on. Then step number 2, you will remove the right hand side foot peg and hold it up using 2 zip tie. So there is 2 screws right here, or 2 bolts. You're gonna remove it, put the zip tie right here, and 1 zip tie anywhere here. All what you're gonna have to do is hold it a little bit up. The reason behind that, so you will have access to the exhaust servo valve. Okay. So step number 3 is, now remove the exhaust servo valve cover. The exhaust servo valve cover has a bolt 10 millimeter, right? So by removing this foot peg, you will have an easy access to use the wrench and unscrew that bolt. You remove it, and then you have to pop out the cover. When you remove the cover, step number 4 comes in. Remove the exhaust servo valve cable using 10 millimeter wrench. So you have 2 locking nuts. You need to unscrew them and free up the cable, and free out the cable, the end of the cable out of the valve, basically. So then step number 5, unscrew the exhaust servo motor bolt. Okay, so now we will go all the way here to the motor. The valve is at the bottom and the motor is here, and this is the hardest part. You're gonna take your time. The exhaust servo motor, it says unscrew the exhaust servo motor bolt, pull it back and remove it out of the pigtail. So the exhaust servo motor is plugged into pigtail, into electric connector. You're gonna, when you loosen up the cable and unscrew the bolt, it will become loose, and you can pull it further out to here. With a flat screw head driver, you're gonna have to figure out where are you prying into the pigtail so you can pull it out. It took me a while to figure out, and then I was patient. I got frustrated a little bit, so I stopped, and finally I was able to remove it, and that was the hardest part in the entire installation. Okay, step number 6. Black Widow exhaust system provided exhaust servo eliminator made by Heeltech. So at step number 6, you're gonna plug in the resistor, or the switch. It's basically a resistor, and it has self-adhesive on the back, and you have enough travel or enough slack so you can mount it at the part that you want in the motorcycle. I picked up a piece of plastic, I wiped it from with an IPA, and I sticked it into that piece of plastic and hold it for 30 seconds. Step number 17. So after removing the exhaust servo motor and you have the footpeg lifted up, it says using 17mm wrench, remove the rear O2 sensors. They are usually right here, and there is one on the right side and one on the left hand side. You just with the 17mm wrench, unscrew them, loosen them up, and with your hand unscrew them off or remove them off. Before you remove them, with a marker, get a marker and mark the nut and mark the base, right? And see how many times you rotated that. So I counted the rotation counterclockwise. It was 4 1/4. So when I mounted these O2 sensors into the new collector, I turned them 4 1/4 of a turn, and I put them back into the collector, and I screwed them back in, and the wire came straight. Okay. So after removing the rear O2 sensors, we're gonna go ahead and remove the fairings, right side and left side. I'm not going to talk about this, but I put the link of one of my videos showing how to remove these fairings step by step. Now we will move to step number 9. After exposing the motorcycle, we have 2 front O2 sensors. These O2 sensors, they have long wire harnesses, okay, and they have a pigtail, and the pigtail, it goes into a bracket, and you basically you put it like this and rotate it counterclockwise, and it locked in itself. Now, before you remove them and start pulling the wires, grab your cell phone or grab your cameras, take pictures, a lot of pictures, and figure out with each wire harness the way it is routed onto the motorcycle, around the engine. Don't touch it first. Take a lot of photos, so when you have to reroute the wire harness, you know how. Okay, there's no guessing here. There is a lot of heat. There is a lot of high temperature. You can melt your wires. Okay, so step number 9: unplug the O2 sensors. We will unplug them from the bracket, and then they are wrapped with a zip tie. You clip the zip tie from safe place, and the wire harness can be like, you can have enough slack, and then it has a safety lock. You will pull it up, and then you press it. You press it in, and then you remove the pigtail. That you are going to do that on both sides, right hand side and left hand side. Step number 2. So step number 2, it says unscrew 2 bolts that are holding the oil cooler to the oil cooler to the radiator, and tape it. So the oil cooler right here, it has 2 screws, 2 bolts that are screwed into the radiator. You are going to unscrew these bolts and grab some tape or a cardboard, right? So Black Widow suggested cut nice piece of cardboard and use zip tie and cover that oil cooler. You can do that. What I did, I cut a piece of cardboard and I taped it using a tape, whichever you want. So step number 2 is unscrew the 2 bolts that are holding the oil cooler to the radiator and tape it. Step number 11. Through the oil cooler guard, unscrew the bracket rod. So behind right here, behind the oil cooler, there is a rod, and that rod is mounted or screwed into the side of the engine. Okay, and that bracket rod holds the radiator up, and it pushes the oil cooler down. So it has a pin up with a rubber grommet and a rubber grommet down. So when you get an extension, a long extension with a T30, right, you will get it through the pipes, right, and you will be able to unscrew it. When you unscrew it, right, it's gonna be loose, and then since the oil cooler is down, you can free it up from the oil cooler, and the radiator, you take it, put it on the side. This nut takes some thread lock, so you're gonna have to add some thread lock. So step number 12. Unscrew the top radiator bolt. So the radiator has some bolts. The bolt is holding the radiator up. They are, I believe, T25 or T30. You're gonna have to unscrew these two bolts, and then remember, when you're gonna have to put these bolts back, you're gonna have to use thread lock as well. Step number 13. Okay, so here, a Black Widow exhaust system recommended removing the right side radiator hoses, and you're gonna have to drain the coolant so you'll be able to have some enough room so you can walk on the headers. I figured out another way, which was amazing. I didn't have to drain coolant or etc. etc. Right here, behind this fairing, there is coolant overflow bottle. When you unscrew the bolt of that bottle and you detach it of the radiator, okay, detach it of the radiator, you will have enough room to move the radiator so you can be able to gain access to the cylinder head flange bolts. So number 13, unscrew the overflow bottle, the coolant overflow bottle, and detach from radiator. Number 14, unscrew the 8 nuts of the cylinder head flange. Number 15, take the bike of the center stand. You're gonna have to take it off. Now, some people, they say they were able to take it off. I didn't want to risk it and got stuck by myself. I don't have people walking with me to help me. I was like, let me be safe. So I took the motorcycle off the center stand, starting from the left-hand side. I unscrewed that bolt, right? And I came here, I unscrewed this side, and basically the center stand with the spring came, gave in, and I was able to remove it. 16. Okay, after removing the center stand, now the fun part. You need basically a hand with you, because at the bottom right here, on the original exhaust is held into the motorcycle with a long bolt, I believe T40, right? And then it is held by a long bolt. You need to loosen up that bolt and then remove all the nuts removed of the cylinder head before you drop it down. If you can have an extra person monitoring the radiator and the oil cooler guard while you are dropping it down, that would be perfect. That's the only reason why you need an extra hand, because you are holding it down. It is light, right? But you need somebody to hold the oil cooler guard away from the pipes when they are coming down, and maybe ask your neighbor, your friend, to be with you for like 2 minutes max, and that's about it. After removing the center stand, so number 17, you loosen up the catalytic converter bolt, and then make sure the cylinder head nuts are all removed, and it comes loose just like down. It comes just like very easy. Make sure somebody is holding the oil cooler away from the cylinder. Okay, so to the assembly. Number 1, and so basically when you remove the original exhaust system, you do have the front O2 sensor still connected in. I didn't have anything bigger than 19mm wrench, so I used basically the vice grip. I removed the right front O2 sensor and I screwed it into the new collector, and I removed the left O2 sensors and I screwed it into the new collector on the left hand side. Now, position step number 2. You're gonna go ahead and start with the pipes. I started with pipe number 2, and I bolted the 2 nuts, and cylinder number 2, because they are in the middle. And I went to number 4 and number 1 and hand tighten all the bolts. Then I grabbed the step number 3. Fit the pipes into the collector. So I have basically the cylinders or the pistons or the pipes. I have all the pipes coming down, and I fit them into the collector. And by the way, the pipes are labeled number 1, 2, 3, 4, and where do you fit them corresponding to the pipe, to the collector. Number 4, mount the collector to the bike using the provided hardware. So when you basically fit the pipes into the collector, you're gonna go ahead and mount the collector into the motorcycle using the provided hardware. It's a long bolt with a self-locking nut, and you're gonna mount it in the same place where this original exhaust was mounted. You'll get it from the left-hand side, and the nut will be on this side. T30 to T40, I believe T40 Torx bit, and the nut is 10mm, I believe. So you'll go ahead and torque it. Don't torque it yet. Before you torque it, you're gonna, number 5, attach all the springs provided. there is 2 springs right here, and there is 4 right here. 2 from each, 1 from each cylinder, so 4 here and 2 here, 6 springs. When you do all that adjustment, you will go ahead and torque the cylinder head nuts, okay, up to 10 foot-pounds, and then over here, this locking nut is up to 10 foot-pound of torque. Number 6. At this stage, you're gonna go ahead and screw in the rear O2 sensors. Again, like you're gonna screw them right hand clockwise, right? You're gonna turn them 4 1/4 of a turn counterclockwise and screw them back into the collector. So you'll have straight down wires. So here, number 7, it says, at this stage, I torque the header nuts and the collector bolts to 10 foot-pound of torque, which is fine. Step number 8, now here we're gonna go ahead and finish the assembly. Step number 8, screw in the radiator and all cooler guard bracket rod. So we're gonna get the bracket rod, put it on the side of the engine, screw it in, and then fit the hinges or the where it holds the radiator up and all cooler guard down. You're gonna fit it in and then get the bolt screwed in and then tighten it all the way up to maybe 10 foot-pound of torque. That's plenty, or a little bit less than that. And then screw step number 9. Or screw in the top radiator bolts. The radiator has 2 bolts. You're gonna have to apply thread locks. Apply the thread locks, screw them in, and torque them. Step number 10. Screw in the overflow radiator bottle and fit the clip on top of the radiator. So the overflow, you're gonna have to put the screw in the bolt and then make sure there is like through hole is sitting right on top of the tab on the radiator. And step number 11. Screw in the all cooler guard. You're gonna have to use a thread lock to these bolts. You're gonna screw them into the radiator, and at this stage, you're gonna have to move to the slip-on. You can use your own slip-on, the original slip-on, or you can use the slip-on that was provided, you purchased from Black Widow exhaust system. So I get the tri-oval slip-on system from Black Widow, right? And basically here, this is the collector, and up to here, the collector. Let me see, take it quick. Yes. So this is the collector, and this is the link pipe. The link pipe, this is where you see that I attach the springs. These springs are from the link pipe to the collector. And then we have as well here a link from the link pipe to the slip-on, and then you get the slip-on. So we get the collector, and we have, this is basically the link pipe that basically a connector between the slip-on and the collector, and then it mounts into the motorcycle. The slip-on is super easy. All what you have to do is slip it into the link pipe right here. They provide the clamps. You will torque they are 10 millimeter bolt, and you need 10 millimeter socket. And then you will go over here. They provide a spacer. You don't have to use the spacer over here because you have plenty of room. And then you will use the bracket so you can mount the slip-on, and then you will use the same place where you're gonna have to mount the slip-on. So, and that's about it for the installation. You'll take the motorcycle outside, and then you will fire up the motorcycle. It depends on the application. If you want the slip-on, the size, the length, I don't know which, I can't talk about that application specifically because there is a lot of options for a slip-on. But all what I would like to say is when you finish the installation, take the motorcycle outside the garage and start the engine and wait until the engine reaches optimum temperature. And this time, what you will be doing, you will be going around the motorcycle, checking for oil leak, coolant leak, something that is touching the exhaust, something that is really close to the engine, or something is not correct, it's starting to melt. So yes, what I'm trying to say is when you basically connect the right hand side oxygen sensor to its bracket, make sure it is vertical, not horizontal. If it is horizontal, it is within a close proximity to the pipes. Make sure it is vertical and you will be safe. And the left hand side oxygen sensor is pretty far from the exhaust system. But still, it doesn't hurt to start the motorcycle and wait for it to reach 210, 220 temperature, and then monitor everything from wire. And then after that, you can pull the motorcycle into the garage, wait until it cools down, and then you will put the fairing back on, and then you will go ahead and test the motorcycle. For my application, the motorcycle came with two baffles, the original baffle right here, and it came with an extra baffle to make it super quieter, which that baffle goes and sit right here in the end link, and you can remove both and you can use both. I use both of them because it makes it the most quiet sound for me. I start work really early, like I leave home 15 to 5. I don't want to upset my neighbors or lose my neighbors for an exhaust system. So yes, I am going to go ahead and copy this link and put it in the video description, and then from there you can follow the steps along with if you want to follow the steps of Black Widow. But is it hard? The hardest part it was for me removing the exhaust servo motor. Is it easy? Amazing when you remove the coolant reservoir, the coolant overflow button. What do you need? You need the simple tools and some patience and water and some snack. I'm not gonna lie, it took me 6 hours from noon until 6 p.m. I was walking slowly, I was walking carefully, and I took everything and put it on the side and it's a Ziploc bag and this and that. So I took my time so I don't lose anything. Some people probably are faster, but I'm happy with what I did. One tiny error which I caught really quick before melting the entire connector, and I'm really satisfied. I saved a lot of money, and I'm providing for you all the tips and tricks to make it super nice and easy installation. If you have any question before you start and you are doubting yourself, you can shoot me a message. I usually answer back people right away because YouTube is on my cell phone and I'm always checking my channel. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Please, if you are not member or you have not subscribed yet, subscribe and press the like button. Do whatever, all that stuff, because all these things help me and help my channel to become more popular and popular. That's all for today. I don't know what else I'm gonna be shooting in the near future. So subscribe so you would be the first to know what I have from videos released. Thank you again. Until next time.